Good morning. I make it a point never to look at what the logo is till I see what Victor's been up to, and I know I'm always taking a chance when I do that. I was looking at the calendar this morning, wondering where 2025 went. It's really quite a phenomenon, the way time seems to slip by. The title of my talk today is A Lens Maker. I came up with this particular thought when I was getting my eyes examined. And I was noticing the optometrist has all of these lenses, which you're all familiar with, A or B, which is best. And looking through different lenses until I could see clearly, till I could see sharply. The purpose of a lens is to bend light so that we can see differently. The lens has been around for a long time. I guess it goes clear back into Roman times. It's reported that Nero watched the games through a stone lens. He was nearsighted, among other things. And so the practice of looking at things differently has been around for a long time. And so humans have used lenses to function better, as many of us do with our lenses, to see things that are very small, as with a microscope. Without the lens, we could not see many of the things that are really crucial to our lives today. And of course, the big lens, the lens on the James Webb telescope, 21 feet in diameter, allows us to see virtually to the other ends of the universe. So we have recreated the eye in many different ways, and we have been able to bend light in ways that allow us to see in ways that centuries ago were impossible. Well, light is a metaphor for understanding. We put light on the subject. I see the light bulb goes off, et cetera, et cetera. So we can adopt a mental lens in order to see things differently in our life. So that's what I'd like to share with you this morning, is a practice that does just exactly that. So we put on a particular metaphoric lens, a mental lens, in order to see our life in a different way, in order to understand things in a different way. Now, we already see through a lens, whether we like it or not, whether we know it or not, we already see through a lens, and that's the lens of the ego. Every family is a lens maker. Every culture is a lens maker. And it gives us a particular lens through which we see the world, and we're taught that this is what's real. Therein lies the problem. Everybody sees a different world, and everyone believes that it's real. And unfortunately, the only reality in many cases. So there is a practice in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition called Lojong practice, Lojong meaning slogan. And it's a way of adopting a particular perspective through which to see our life. It's adopting a particular lens by which we see our life and the world around us. Like I say, typically we think we're seeing the world as it is, but we're not. We're seeing through a lens, a particular lens that was given to us. And sometimes that lens is so familiar we don't even realize that it's a lens. We think we're looking at what is real. So we can choose a particular perspective, a slogan, a lojong, if you will, and to practice with it. Practice for a period of time. Say, I recommend 30 days. I think 30 days is a good period of time to practice with various lenses. In the Tibetan practice, the lojong practice, there are 59 different slogans to work with. Some of them are relevant to our life today, some may not be. But what I've done is I've picked three, or I should say I've adapted three lenses from this particular tradition. And I've put them in my own words. And I think tailor-made them to our time today. So I'd like to share these three with you, these three lenses, and invite you to consider seeing the world through these lenses for the purpose of practice, for the purpose of seeing things differently, for the purpose of understanding yourself differently and understanding others differently. So, three slogans. We adopt a slogan and we assume that it's true. So we don't question it, it's just a given. We assume it to be true. Now, we assume it to be true up to a point. For example, there's a class that Carol Murray and I are teaching called 6 Months to Live. And in that particular class, the lens we put on is that in 6 months we're going to die at a certain date, 6 months after the beginning of the course. So we live our life as if that were true, up to a point. You know, we don't empty our bank accounts. We don't max out our credit cards. Still plan vacations, weddings, whatever, you know. So we don't take it literally true, but we take it true internally for the purpose of practice. And so that's the case with each one of these slogans. It's an internal practice. You don't have to go around telling people this is a lens through which you see. In fact, it's a good idea probably not to. You might startle some people. And the first slogan adopts this particular attitude. The attitude is that everyone on this planet is enlightened, except for one person. Guess who? C'est moi. It is me, it is I. So, I'm the only one that's not enlightened. You all are. You're here to wake me up. You're here to teach me. Everybody that I see is here to teach me how to awaken. So that's the slogan, is everyone is my teacher. Every person. I suppose every animal too, if you want to include animals. Include trees if you want to. Everything, everyone is my teacher. Now, what you have to teach me, none of my business. I don't have to be concerned about who's teaching what. Why is it true? Why are they my teacher? It's simply a given. Everyone I encounter in my life, every relationship I have is here to awaken me. And it creates a very different way of seeing life. It's a way of really cracking the structure of the ego. Because the ego wants to be the teacher. The ego wants to show everyone how much they know. The ego wants to be right. So basically, we're pulling the rug out from under the ego. We're saying, this person is your teacher. No matter what their age, no matter what the circumstance. Don't try to figure out what you're being taught. Personalities are irrelevant. So in other words, it doesn't matter whether you like this person or you don't like them, whether you agree with them or you don't agree with them. They are your teacher. It creates a very deep and a very real humility in the truest sense of the word. That I come to you to learn. I pay attention to what you have to say. Pay attention to what you do. Because you're my teacher, you see. Those that challenge us the most may be our best teachers. See if that's true. I believe that's true for me anyway. The ones that I say, this person is absolutely not my teacher. There's nothing they have to teach me. They're my greatest teacher, most likely. Yeah. So that's the first one. Everyone is my teacher. A second lens that I invite you to consider using is adapting the slogan, embracing the unknown. I embrace the unknown. Most of the time, we don't like the unknown. Most of the time, we want to fill in the unknown with what ifs, maybe, could be, hypothetically. The mind abhors a vacuum. Not knowing is to the mind what pain is to the body. You see? Knowing is to the mind as what comfort is to the body. So when the mind doesn't know, it's uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. And sometimes to the point where we'll make up stories rather than live in the not knowing. And that happens very, very, very frequently. Sometimes we'll create enormous amounts of suffering because it seems familiar. Or we'll create stories that may seem outlandish to other people, but they're familiar to us. And the mind loves what's familiar. You know, We don't get lost anymore because we have GPS, right? Sort of. But in the days when we used to get lost, it wasn't a nice feeling, was it? It wasn't a fun feeling to be late at night and you don't know where you're at. So the greater the unknown, the more resistance there is from the ego. And of course, the greatest unknown of all is the future. None of us know the future. So, of course, the greatest unknown future is what we call death. But in a sense, every moment we're facing death because we're facing what we don't know. We're facing the great unknown. So life is the great unknown just as much as death is the great unknown. Oftentimes we will regress to old behavior just because it's familiar. Even animals will do this. Even animals will go back. So when we find that we don't know, rather than recoiling, trying to come up with a story, what would it be like to just say, I don't know? Let yourself feel the sensations in the body connected with I don't know. Let yourself feel the emotions that show up when you say, I truly don't know. See if you can simply be open to the unknown. Because the reality is just about everything is unknown. I mean, we don't know what the next minute's going to bring, for sure. We think we do, but we really don't. So take every opportunity to face the unknown and embrace it, to welcome, and to feel it. What does it feel like? What's it like to deliberately pull the rug out from the ego, which again, the ego is there to protect us from what we don't know. It'll make up stories. It'll go to what my family taught or whatever my latest group of teachers were. Embracing the unknown. A third practice, lens number 3, to live like you're dreaming. To live like life is a dream. Row, row, row your boat. Gently down the stream. Most of us row the boat upstream, you know. Merrily, merrily, merrily. What's the next line? Life is but a dream. No. Mm-hmm. Didn't know that was such a profound wisdom in that little song. Huh? What's the characteristics of a dream? Well, number one, it doesn't make any sense, right? Does life make any sense? We try to make it make sense, but it doesn't. I think one of the most irrational things we do is expect life to be rational. We expect human beings to be rational. That's crazy. It really is. I'm not saying we're not capable of being rational at times, But for the most part, rationality is not what governs our life. And I'm not saying it should either. But clearly it doesn't. So in a dream, we don't expect it to make sense. In a dream, we just show up and go, wow, that's weird. That's exciting. Or whatever. Dreams are revelatory. They teach us something about ourselves. Carl Jung said a dream was like a letter from the soul. Life is revelatory if we live it that way. You know, sometimes we have a dream, we say, gee, I wonder how I should interpret that. Can I interpret that dream? What if we could interpret our life the same way we interpret a dream? What if life was just a dream? Everything in a dream changes. Dreams are the epitome of impermanence. Dreams are constantly changing. Short dreams, long dreams, but everything in the dream is very rarely do I ever remember having a dream where it's just a static picture. It's always a movie of some sort. We know that we will wake up from a dream. And we'll wake up from this dream too someday. Don't know where, don't know when, don't know how, but it's guaranteed we'll wake up someday. Just like we know we're going to wake up from a dream, no matter how bad it is, no matter how much of a nightmare it is. Anything is possible in a dream. Anything is possible in a dream. Time can go backwards. One thing can morph into another. A monster can morph into a puppy. Anything could happen, you see. Is life that way? If we're open to it, it is, yeah. Sometimes even if we're not open to it, it is. Exactly. Live like you're dreaming. Anything is possible. Everything changes. The dream is here to teach me something. Maybe someday we'll wake up and say to somebody, I had this wildest dream last night. I dreamt I was this old man named Robert. And he woke up one morning and somebody told him he was supposed to show up and give a Dharma Talk. Is that a weird dream? How crazy? I'm still trying to analyze that one. Don't know what that's about. So, life is but a dream. Welcome the unknown, and everybody is my teacher. And I want to close with this story about a dream I had. And this is captured in one of my books. I dreamed that I was walking through a large city. I saw many people of all types. They were all in a rush to get somewhere. As it was, I was not sure where I was going either, but I too seemed to be in a hurry. At some point, an awareness dawned upon me. I think this is a dream. But I wasn't sure. So I stopped the man in midstream and said, "Excuse me, sir, is this real?" He looked at me as if I were crazy and said, "Well, of course it is." Traveling a little bit further into the crowd, I stopped a woman. And I said, "Excuse me, ma'am, are you real?" She got very upset. And she said, "Well, I'm as real as you are." So I'm milling through the crowd, and I saw an old man with a white beard sitting on a blanket. He seemed to be a sadhu, a Hindu holy man. Everyone seemed to ignore him. Nobody saw him but me, evidently. But I ran up to him, and I interrupted his meditation, and I blurted out to him, "Is this all a dream?" He opened his eyes. He looked at me with a knowing smile. He spoke very quietly, and he said, "Yes, it is. But don't tell these people. They'll think you're crazy." So don't tell these people. Just work with it yourself. Let life be your dream. Pick whatever lens. You could even create your own if you want to. But I have enjoyed sharing 3 of these with you, and I invite you to let me know how it works for you if you try them out. So may you be blessed by your practice.